Absalom was the third son of King David, born to Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, king of Geshur. He was renowned for his striking physical appearance, described as flawless from head to toe, with thick, luxurious hair that he cut only once a year. Absalom's charm and charisma made him a favorite among the people of Israel, but beneath his handsome exterior lay ambition and a thirst for power. Absalom's story is deeply intertwined with the tragic events within David's family. The turning point in Absalom's life came when his sister, Tamar, was violated by their half-brother, Amnon, David's eldest son and heir to the throne. Despite Tamar's pleas for justice, David failed to take decisive action against Amnon, leaving Absalom seething with anger and resentment. For 2 years, Absalom harbored his hatred in silence, waiting for the right moment to act. Finally, he orchestrated a plot to avenge his sister. He invited all of David's sons to a feast at his estate, and during the celebration, Absalom ordered his servants to kill Amnon. The plan succeeded, and Amnon was struck down. Afterward, Absalom fled to Geshur, his maternal grandfather's kingdom, where he remained in exile for 3 years. During Absalom's exile, David mourned both the loss of Amnon and the estrangement of his son. Eventually, through the intervention of Joab, David's military commander, Absalom was allowed to return to Jerusalem. However, David refused to see him for 2 more years, creating a rift between father and son that would never fully heal. Frustrated by his father's coldness, Absalom took drastic measures to force a reconciliation. He set Joab's field on fire to gain his attention, and Joab arranged a meeting between Absalom and David. The two were formally reconciled, but the relationship remained strained. Absalom's resentment toward his father continued to fester, and he began to plot a rebellion. Absalom's charm and political savvy made him a formidable opponent. He stationed himself at the city gate, where he intercepted those coming to seek justice from the king. With honeyed words, he won the hearts of the people, saying, "If only I were appointed judge in the land, then everyone who has a complaint or case could come to me, and I would see that they receive justice." Over time, Absalom built a loyal following, undermining David's authority. After 4 years of secret planning, Absalom declared himself king in Hebron, the same city where David had first been anointed king. He sent messengers throughout Israel, proclaiming his kingship, and gathered a large army. Many Israelites, disillusioned with David's rule, joined Absalom's cause. Even Ahithophel, one of David's most trusted advisors, defected to Absalom's side. When news of the rebellion reached David, he was forced to flee Jerusalem with his loyal followers. It was a moment of deep humiliation for the once mighty king. As David crossed the Kidron Valley and ascended the Mount of Olives, he wept, barefoot and covered in dust, a symbol of his sorrow and repentance. Meanwhile, Absalom entered Jerusalem and took control of the city. Following Ahithophel's advice, Absalom publicly took David's concubines, a bold and scandalous act meant to solidify his claim to the throne and demonstrate his complete break from his father. However, Absalom ignored Ahithophel's subsequent counsel to pursue David immediately, a delay that would prove fatal. David's forces regrouped in the wilderness, led by Joab and other seasoned commanders. As Absalom's army advanced, David prepared for battle but instructed his men to deal gently with Absalom for his sake. The two armies clashed in the forest of Ephraim, where David's forces achieved a decisive victory. The terrain worked against Absalom's troops, and the forest claimed more lives than the sword. During the battle, Absalom's fate was sealed in a dramatic and ironic twist. As he rode his mule through the forest, his thick hair became entangled in the branches of a large oak tree, leaving him suspended in midair. Helpless and vulnerable, Absalom was discovered by one of David's soldiers. Despite David's orders to spare his son, Joab took matters into his own hands. He thrust 3 javelins into Absalom's heart, and his armor-bearers finished him off. When news of Absalom's death reached David, the king was overcome with grief. He retreated to his chamber, weeping and crying out, "Oh, my son Absalom! My son Absalom! If only I had died instead of you! Oh, Absalom, my son, my son!" David's anguish was so profound that it overshadowed the victory, prompting Joab to rebuke him for demoralizing his troops. Absalom was buried in a pit in the forest, covered with stones, a far cry from the royal burial he might have expected. Despite his rebellion, Absalom left a legacy of sorrow and regret. His death marked the end of his ambition but also highlighted the deep fractures within David's family and the heavy cost of sin and disobedience. Absalom's story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition, the consequences of unresolved family conflicts, and the heartbreak of a father's love for a wayward son. It serves as a reminder of the complexities of human relationships and the need for repentance and reconciliation.